What's up, baby?
Hey guys, welcome to our YouTube channel.
Welcome to episode 37. 37. We're so consistent.
37 of D&M Drives with Nana and Kini. I've never seen that house before.
Skinny. All right, guys, welcome to this YouTube channel. For those that have just subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe. For those that are watching that but not having subscribed, go subscribe, right? Forcefully. Now on this YouTube, on this channel, we talk, we go deep into Nana's journey of healing from sexual abuse, and myself being the host. I'll do all I can to put Nana in a position where she's going to punch me in the face. So, welcome. What are we talking about today, honey?
Well, you know what? I was trying to sometimes, you know, when you're like on the healing journey, you kind of forget where or how far you've come. Ooh. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like with your weight loss journey, wouldn't you say? Like sometimes you forget, like when you're writing out scripts and all that, like sometimes you forget.
But where you started.
Like sometimes you forget the pains that like you endured.
No, I get it,
Right?
Yeah.
So that's for me too, like because I just feel like I'm just kind of been, you know, a lot open about my journey. Like it's almost as if I've forgotten like what I struggled with.
Where you've come from.
Yeah, where I've come from.
I like it.
So I've just been pondering on that, like, you know, like it's been so crazy, like it's been busy. I mean, like our life has been busy. Our sister is getting married.
Oh, yes, that's why we're all just drinking water and aminos and not eating, and we've been starving ourselves.
Can you tell?
Starving ourselves for the videos, for the photos,
for the dress. But like it's been so crazy, but like I still have those quiet times where I'm like thinking about like my journey, and like I feel like I'm very conscious, like every single day as I'm like living life and doing daily things. Like I feel like I'm always, or for the most part, in a conscious state of mind. And because I know we're gonna do our YouTube video, I've just been like reflecting. I'm like, okay, like what have I endured? Like what is something I would want to go back and like tell myself? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. So is that the topic of our discussion?
No, I was just sharing that. That's what I've been thinking about.
Okay, so what is the topic of our discussion?
And it's led me to a conversation that I had recently with someone, and she asked me this question.
Oh. What was the question? Who was it?
Oh, I can't tell you.
Come on! Why are we gonna be so secretive for?
Not secretive, just confidential.
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 Oh, you know who you are. Hello. And thank you for talking to my wife.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she asked me the question, like, because I told her, you know, kind of like, you know, we spoke about my story.
What did you tell her?
Well, I spoke about my story of sexual abuse and, you know, what unfolded, blah, blah, blah.
What unfolded?
Babe.
I'm joking.
And then she asked me, you know, I'm trying to like remember how she phrased it.
Say it the way she said it.
She was like, she's like, Nana, what were you going to do? No, she asked something like, Nana, like, how were you going to protect your girls? Like, because I hadn't said anything to you at that point. We're talking about like earlier on in our marriage, like where Kini didn't know, and how in my mind I was protecting my girls by staying silent. And she asked me, she's like, Nana, what were you planning to do? Like, how were you planning to protect them? because I wasn't saying anything. Something along the lines of that. And I just, when she asked me that, and I was like, it left me gobsmacked, to be honest. Because I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing now. But what was I doing back then? And I don't know. I don't know what I was doing back then. I just thought that I thought me hovering over them, over the girls, was me protecting them. But it's not really protecting them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, it doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't, or it does?
No. It doesn't make sense to me. But who am I? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't experience that. But it would make sense to someone or yourself, where you were.
Yeah, and I think like
the person you've grown so much, but the person you were back then, it would have made sense.
Yeah, right.
Now the question is, why would that story would have made sense to who you were back in 2014, 15 when I didn't know? Why would that story make sense? Why would that be justified?
I think because I didn't know any better. You know, I didn't know any better. It's kind of like, you know, when the first time that I was abused, it felt off. Something felt off.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what was happening. I didn't understand.
What do you mean something fell off? Like you knew that it was wrong?
Yeah, I knew it was wrong.
Okay.
I knew it was wrong. I was 7.
Yeah,
so I knew it was wrong. And I didn't but I didn't understand.
Yeah, were you like exposed to like family or like people at church or at school? Did they ever talk about like sexual abuse to you? Or you were 7 years, so young.
I'm 7.
Yeah, you're so young.
7, you know, like 7, growing up in a typical
island
home.
Yeah,
you know, I'm growing up in New Zealand. Like,
so then, what made you think that it was wrong? Or was it just not wrong? It was just different.
I just knew.
Like the spirit, like the spirit, like
yeah. I think
you?
I would say just like just didn't feel right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that the light of Christ?
Yeah, I think it is. You're 7 years old. You know what I mean? Like you don't know. Like
you kind of feel like, oh wait, this is like it's the first time.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then it doesn't feel right.
Yeah. So I think that's the light of Christ. I think that's the spirit.
So, but I didn't understand what it was. Like I didn't understand what was happening until later when I learnt, oh, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's what happened to me. But what I'm saying is like, it's kind of like that. As a young mom, like I didn't understand like it's like in my mind I understood that what I was trying to do was to protect my girls, but I didn't understand that what I was doing wasn't enough in protecting.
But how would you
girls.
be protecting them if you were like, you mean you would just be conscious about
who was around?
Oh, okay.
Who was around, like kind of where like who had them, or like
who was around,
like who was playing,
where they were.
who was playing with them, or like things like that.
But they're still babies too.
Yeah, but still I had that, like they were girls, you know, like I was very like hovered over them, like overprotective of them. And then she kind of and so when she asked me that, I was kind of thinking, like, oh, like how was I protecting them, or what is it that I would have done if something did happen to them? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no idea.
And how would you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like how would I know?
So she kind of prompted you. That prompted you.
Yeah, to go back and think like, oh my gosh, like even though in my mind I felt that I was protecting them, it just wasn't enough. I feel. Do you know what I mean? The reason why I say that is because a huge part of it is because I was silent about my abuse. You know, so it's like, how did I go from that mind frame of thinking, oh, I'm protecting them, to actually realizing, oh wait, you're not doing everything that you possibly can to protect them. Like how, like what was the shift? And the shift was when you asked me.
When I asked you.
When I opened up to you about being abused.
Yeah.
Because I broke my silence on it, I started to recognize certain things. I started to learn certain things about myself, and I'm like, oh, like things started to make sense. The picture became clearer. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, if you're a mom, and you know, I you know, the reason why I'm share my story is for those other women out there who are mums, specifically mums, just like me. Like the reason why I do that is because I want to share how I'm navigating through my healing journey as a mother. Do you know what I mean? Because once you become a mother, your trauma is no longer just your trauma.
Yeah, that's right.
It has ripple effects on your husband, your partner, and then your children. Do you know what I mean? And it affects it heavily, like whether you recognize it or not, like it does. Like a lot of your behaviors in that, like, will stem from unhealed trauma.
Arguments.
Yeah.
Misunderstanding,
the way you react.
Yeah, communication.
You know, communication. So for me, like, you know, if you're a mom and you haven't had the discussion yet, like if you haven't had a conversation yet, you know, I would get emotional, but I would encourage you to have the conversation about it. Like just voice it, just even saying like, yes, something happened to me. This is what happened to me. Because like motherhood in itself is, you know, is hard. Like it's not an easy task. Believe me, I know. I'm a mother of 5 under 6, so I know. But then it's like motherhood coupled with trauma and unhealed trauma that you haven't spoken about, like that you haven't worked through, like that's tough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And if I could go back, you know, I didn't have anyone around me who opened my mind to that, you know, who opened my mind to like speaking up.
That prompted you.
Yeah, that prompted me.
Or very similar to the friend that questioned you.
Yeah, right.
Having a friend to question. And I think that's the thing. That's the key. That's the speaking, opening up the silence. Like that's the goal. But I think just starting that conversation and starting to question, right? Why do I act like this? Why? You know, just questioning. I think questioning everything is important. You know,
exactly.
You know, questioning. If you have a goal, no matter what it is, like question everything. Question everything about life.
And I think
question it, because by questioning it, you will be able to be open to see that there are different answers.
I feel like you're really good. Like Kini's really good at like challenging things, and he'll like question everything. I feel like you're good at that, but I feel like for me personally, I think trauma and coupled with like the way that I was raised, and I'm the oldest as well in my family, and so like, you know, when mum and dad say jump, you just start jumping until they tell you how high, how low, like that's how it was. And so like I wasn't raised to question things, whereas now, especially as a mom, because I feel like your kids expose you. They expose they expose the best in you, but then they expose the worst in you. And when those worst parts of me are highlighted, I question it. Now I question it. Now I have the courage to question myself and be like, okay, hang on a second, Nana. Like, why are you reacting like that? Where does that stem from? How can you change that? Does it need to be changed? Do you know what I mean? And so
I love the thing that I like is like reminds me of so Will Smith has a video on YouTube, search it. He talks about success. He talks about success in his father, what his father did to him and his brother, I think, at a young age. He made him build a brick wall. And what they had to do is they built the brick wall. And so I think the dad was saying something around like, make sure that the wall is strong and that every brick is laid like strong, you know, make sure each brick, the way you lay it, the way you put it together, the way you put the concrete, make sure it's laid to a point where it's so that it's firm. And then he talks about the wall, and then you know, obviously they built the wall, but that wall was built by brick by brick by brick by brick. And so I share that because a lot of these habits, the way that we do things, the way we react, unconscious habits in our life were formed by small things, you know, that were just formed by, you know, maybe like for example, I'm just saying, you know, I don't know, but I'm saying like trauma, you know, trauma occurred and then something occurred after that, and then after that, and after that, and over time it becomes a wall, it becomes the way, it becomes your identity.
yeah, right.
And when you start to question, why was that brick laid that way? Why was that brick laid that way? And to break trauma, you're basically breaking the wall down, brick by brick.
I love that.
I'm so good.
Hey.
No, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. You know, it's about like, it's like you learn how you are, and then it's like you gotta unlearn it and then like relearn. Building, it's like something's been built over time, and then you gotta like break it down.
Yes.
You know, unbuild it. Does that make sense?
And break
then
it, breakable.
and then rebuild. So yeah.
Cool. So what was the topic of this one again?
You know what? I can't even like really remember.
Well, how about this as a topic? Question
yourself.
Question yourself.
Question your behaviors.
Why questioning your behavior leads to
Healing trauma. So yes, guys, if you resonated with this episode, give us a like, share, tag us, subscribe, do all the good stuff, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.